Hello, and thanks for joining us for this emergency management educational opportunity. Today's objective is to review with you two new pieces of emergency management equipment that are being provided to your office location. The MegaMover and the Stop the Bleed kit. Both of these items are being provided to your office in response to the ambulatory site directors in our quarterly town hall meetings, making mention of the need to be able to have equipment to both evacuate patients who are unable to evacuate themselves during an emergency, as well as a means of stopping bleeding, particularly life-threatening bleeding. With the support of administration, funding was found, and we're pleased to make both of these items available to your office site right now, in fact. Let's go ahead and get started by first talking about the MegaMover. The MegaMover is packaged, as you see here, complete with instructions. On the one side, it's an overview, and on the back side, it's step-by-step instructions on how to use it. However, to be honest with you, the instructions are pretty simple. You're going to take it out of the package, and when you do so, you will notice that there is, in essence, two different sides. One side, what I'll call this rigged side, is for the bottom. Obviously, then the opposite side, marked as such, is for the patient, and there's a head end and there is a foot end. All you need to do is to lift or roll the patient into the center of the device itself, and with handholds on either side, staff on either side, you just wrap the patient and drag them along the floor, or preferably with two or more staff members, you're going to carry them to a safe location. This particular device is made with material that's strong enough to hold up to 1,000-pound patient. Good luck moving that patient, however. Please be careful in doing so. So that's the MegaMover. Now, the second device, or kit really, is the Stop the Bleed kit. And in this little red container, there's a number of different items, including a tourniquet, compression dressing, 2 packing gauzes, 2 pairs of gloves, a pair of scissors, and a Sharpie. Let's go over each of these items and how to use it to stop bleeding, particularly life-threatening bleeding. You know, it only takes, or you only have about 2.5 liters of blood to lose before irreversible shock sets in. So when you have a life-threatening bleed, we've got to find a way to quickly and effectively stop that bleeding while we're sending somebody to get the kit. Ways to do that include gloved hand, direct pressure onto the wound. Second option would be to put an elbow into the wound, and or even if the patient's on the floor, put a knee into the wound. Both the elbow and the knee are actually stronger or better at stopping bleeding, and it allows you to keep your 2 hands free to manipulate different items from the kit itself. First item in the kit to go to complement your direct pressure effort is going to be a tourniquet. Now, in this case, the tourniquet is orange in color. Some of the kits may have a blue or a black tourniquet. It's not the color that stops the bleeding, it's the way that you apply it. So let's go over that right now. All you're going to do is you're going to loosen the Velcro. You're going to slide it as high up the arm or the leg as you possibly can. Cinch it down, Velcro it to position. And now you're going to turn, as soon as you release this tab, there we go. You're going to turn this windlass until you can turn it no longer. And it's the turning of this windlass that's ultimately going to be the definitive way to stop the bleeding. So you turn and turn and turn until you can turn no longer. And then you're going to slip it into the slot, as you see me doing now. And then this white tab goes over it to stop the bleeding, the windlass from coming undone, and hence bleeding being restored. Key points about a tourniquet use include, number one, Don't stop winding the windlass until you can wind it no longer. If a patient is conscious and this is being put on, it's painful. And so they're going to be whining, you're hurting me, you're hurting me, you're hurting me. Don't let their whining stop your winding. As tight as possible, then secure it. Number 2, I can put a tourniquet on a child. I could put a tourniquet even on an infant. One size nearly fits all. In the case of an infant, you may have to put a folded cloth, such as a towel or a washcloth, over the area to give more bulk in order to be able to cinch it down as tight as possible. But for the adult and the older child, that shouldn't be necessary to be effective. Number 3, sometimes despite turning this windlass as tight as possible, the bleeding will still continue. What do we do then? Got a couple of options. Number 1 option would be, do I have a second tourniquet that I can put on and it's below the first one? Number 2, can I take packing from my kit and pack the wound directly? In this particular case, this is one of the 2 packing gauzes that is found in the Stop the Bleed kit. I'm going to have my gloved hand grab the end. I'm going to give myself some length. I'm going to find the bleeding site. With one finger, if at all possible, I'm going to put pressure while the other fingers are now packing the wound as tight as possible with as much material as possible. I'm going to keep going until one of 2 things happen. Number 1, I run out of packing, get the second packing gauze. Versus number 2, I fill the hole like now, so I'm simply going to take the packing gauze that remains and put it on top. While next, I'm going to go to the kit and I'm going to get my compression dressing. There's a padded side and a flat side. The padded side is the dressing. I'm going to put that dressing directly over the wound, bring its tail underneath, and now I'm going to wrap as firmly and as tightly as I can, going above, going below, and cinching it down as tight as possible until I have finished with the wrap. And once I've gotten to the end, and there is an end, all I'm going to do then is 2 things. It comes with a hook. 2 hooks, in fact. Before you try and hook it onto the end, what I suggest is one of those wraparounds, slide the hook underneath of it, like such, cinch it down again, so it's less likely to come undone accidentally. Before now you hook it, one side at the top, the other side underneath, and now you're all set as such to have stopped the bleeding. First with the tourniquet, slowing it. Second with the compression dressing over top of packing gauze. Now, the large majority of time, direct pressure with the hand, the elbow, the knee, followed by a tourniquet and a packing and compression dressing, you're going to be successful. And that's what it's all about, is to stop the bleeding, because it's blood loss that typically takes the life of a traumatized victim. Now, a couple of other final points before we conclude. Number 1, we've been asked, are we covered in providing this form of assistance to a patient or a bystander or a visitor? The answer is, in being a MedStar employee, as well as acting in a good Samaritan-like fashion and not charging for your life-saving actions, there is no liability that you should be concerned about. The focus rightfully should be on saving the life that's immediately in front of you. Number 2, for you to be able to use this equipment, we've got to be able to access it. And so we simply ask that you take the MegaMover and you take the Stop the Bleed kit and make sure that both are readily accessible in a secure location that all of the staff know where to find in case of an emergency. In summary, we responded to a request for assistance by providing you with two brand new pieces of equipment, the MegaMover and the Stop the Bleed kit. They're available for use in an emergency. And in terms of an emergency, while none of us want to have to deal with them, the fact is they do occur. And now, more so than before, you're better positioned to deal with the person who can't evacuate for themselves. You can evacuate them using the MegaMover. And for that person that has bleeding, you can stop that bleeding, whether it's in the neck, the groin. Oh, by the way, final point about packing. Please don't try and pack the chest. Don't pack the abdomen because you're wasting your time. You can pack neck wounds. You can pack groin wounds. You can pack extremity, arm and leg wounds, but not the chest and not the abdomen. That's it for today. Thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful. If Pete Jensen or myself, Craig Diatley, can be of any additional assistance, just send us an email or give us a call. Have a good, safe day.